These neighbor horror stories started with small things until it became clear someone was watching. Neighbors are supposed to make you feel safe. Familiar faces, friendly waves, quiet streets. But sometimes, the person living next door knows more about you than they should. Tonight, you'll hear 3 true neighbor horror stories. Real experiences that turned ordinary neighborhoods into places people were afraid to go back to. Stay until the end, because the last story is the one that made someone disappear without anyone noticing. Story 1, the man next door. When Laura moved into her new apartment, everything felt perfect. Quiet neighborhood, affordable rent, friendly neighbors, especially the man next door. He introduced himself on the first day. "Name S. Victor," he said, smiling politely. He seemed normal, maybe a little quiet, but harmless, at least at first. It started with small things. Too small to notice right away. Victor always seemed to be outside when Laura left her apartment. Morning, afternoon, even late at night. At first, she thought it was coincidence. But then he started mentioning things, specific things. "You got home late yesterday," he said casually one morning. Laura paused. "Yeah, work ran late." Victor nodded slowly. "You seemed tired." Something about the way he said it made her uncomfortable. How would he know that? She thought. A few days later, Laura ordered a package online, nothing important. Just something small. When she got home, it was already inside her apartment, on her table. She froze, the door was locked, no signs of forced entry. Her landlord didn't have a spare key. At least not one he used. She checked the hallway camera. Nothing. No one entered except Victor. He was seen standing outside her door for a long time, just standing there. That night, Laura knocked on his door, trying to stay calm. Victor opened almost immediately, like he was expecting her. "Did you go into my apartment?" she asked. Victor tilted his head slightly, smiling. "You forgot your package outside," he said. "I didn't want it to get stolen." Laura's heart pounded. "How did you get inside?" Victor's smile didn't change. "You should lock your windows," he said softly. Laura checked every window that night, all locked, all secure, except one. The bathroom window, slightly open, just enough. That's when she realized someone had been inside her apartment more than once. The next morning, Laura found something under her bed, a small object, black, hidden in the shadows. She reached for it slowly, pulled it out, and her stomach dropped. It was a phone, old, recording, still active, pointed directly at her bed. Laura didn't stay another night. She packed everything and left immediately, reported everything. But when authorities checked Victor's apartment, it was empty, completely cleared out, like no one had ever lived there. No records, no name, no trace. Story 2. The house across the street. Every neighborhood has one house, the one people don't talk about. For Daniel, it was the house across the street. It looked abandoned, lights off, curtains closed, no cars, no movement. But every night at exactly 1:00 a.m., a light turned on in the upstairs window for exactly 5 minutes, then off again. Every night, no exception. Daniel tried to ignore it for weeks, until one night he noticed something different. The light turned on, but this time someone was standing in the window. The figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't react, just stood there, looking out directly at Daniel's house, at his window. Daniel stepped back slowly, closed his curtains. But the feeling didn't go away, that feeling of being watched. Daniel couldn't ignore it anymore. Every night, 1:00 a.m., the same light, the same window, the same figure, watching. Always watching. One night he made a choice. He was going to find out what was inside that house, not during the day, during the time it mattered, 1:00 a.m. The street was silent, no cars. No people, just the faint hum of distant traffic. Daniel crossed slowly, heart pounding. The front door of the house was slightly open, just enough, like it was waiting. He hesitated. Then pushed it. The door creaked loudly, echoing through the empty space. Inside, it was darker than it should have been, even with streetlights outside. "Hello?" Daniel called out, no answer. Just silence, then a faint sound from upstairs, a slow movement. The stairs creaked under his weight, each step louder than the last. The air felt colder the higher he went, thicker. Harder to breathe. At the top, a hallway, long, narrow, one door at the end, slightly open, light coming from inside. Daniel walked slowly toward it, his hand shaking as he pushed the door open. And then he saw it. The room was almost empty, just a single chair facing the window, and on that chair someone was sitting, perfectly still, looking outside. Daniel swallowed. "Hey," he said quietly, no response. He stepped closer, the floor creaked, still no movement. He moved to the side, trying to see the person's face, and that's when everything changed. The chair was empty. No one there. Daniel froze. He had just seen someone sitting there, he was sure of it. But now nothing, just the chair, slowly rocking, back and forth. Then he felt it, a presence, behind him, close, too close, a whisper right next to his ear. "You weren't supposed to come in." Daniel turned instantly. No one. But the door behind him was now closed. He ran, didn't think, didn't stop. Down the stairs, through the hallway, out the front door, back across the street. He slammed his own door shut. Locked it, checked every window, every room, nothing, everything normal, until 1:00 a.m. Daniel forced himself to look through his window at the house. The light was on again. In the same room, same window, but this time the figure in the window wasn't in that house anymore. It was in his, standing in his window, behind him. Story 3, the neighbor who knew too much. After that night, Daniel moved. Immediately, didn't tell anyone why, just left. His new place was quieter, safer, or so he thought. The man next door introduced himself quickly. "Hey, I'm Chris," he said with a friendly smile. Normal, relaxed, nothing strange. Until he started saying things he shouldn't know. "Late night again?" Chris said one morning. Daniel froze. "How do you know that?" Chris shrugged. "Lights were on." That was normal at first. "Then did you sleep better last night?" Daniel stared at him. "I guess." Chris nodded slowly. "Good, you looked tired yesterday." Daniel hadn't seen him yesterday, not once. That feeling came back, the same one from the old house, being watched. Daniel thought moving would fix everything. New place, new street, new people, no more strange houses. No more watching figures, but he was wrong. At first, Chris just seemed friendly, too friendly, always outside, always around, always watching. But then the details started getting worse. "Rough night?" Chris asked one morning. Daniel froze. "How do you know that?" Chris smiled slightly. "You were walking around a lot." Daniel's chest tightened. "I didn't leave my room." Chris didn't respond, just kept smiling. That night, Daniel checked his house. Every door locked, every window secure. He even placed a chair against his bedroom door. Just in case. At 2:18 a.m., he woke up. Suddenly, no noise, no reason, just that same feeling. He looked at the door. The chair was moved, slightly. Daniel sat up slowly. Heart pounding, he didn't remember moving it. The next day, Daniel bought a small camera, nothing fancy, just enough to record his room. He set it up facing the door. Turned it on before going to bed. That night, he barely slept. The next morning, he checked the footage. At first, nothing, just him sleeping, still, quiet. Then at exactly 2:18 a.m., the door opened, slowly, without a sound. Daniel's hands started shaking. He leaned closer to the screen. Someone walked in. Tall, thin, moving slowly. Deliberately, it stepped closer to the bed, closer and closer, until it was standing right next to him. The camera angle didn't show the face, only the body, the shape. But Daniel knew. He knew who it was, Chris, or at least something that looked like him. Daniel rewound the footage, watched it again and again. But on the third time, something changed. The figure didn't come from the door. It appeared from the corner of the room, where there was nothing, no door, no window. Just darkness. That's when Daniel understood. It wasn't following him. It was already there, since the first place, since the house across the street. It didn't matter where he moved. It didn't matter who the neighbor was. It just changed faces. Daniel didn't sleep, didn't turn off the lights, didn't move. He sat on his bed, watching the door, waiting. At exactly 2:18 a.m., the lights flickered. Then the camera shut off by itself, and the room went silent. The footage ends there. But here's what makes this story disturbing. The next day, Daniel was gone. No signs of struggle, no broken locks, no forced entry, just one thing left behind: the camera. Still recording. When authorities reviewed the final clip, they saw something. The room empty, silent. Then a figure stepped into frame, looked directly into the camera, smiled and said, "He's not here anymore." Sometimes it's not your neighbor you should be afraid of. It's what moves in with you. If this gave you chills, comment *. I'm checking my room tonight, and don't forget to subscribe for more true horror stories every week.